This video is about helping a very young child to get writing. And I know that that's quite hard because sometimes they're a little bit reluctant and we want to make it pleasant, not unpleasant for either mum or child or dad or nan or whoever and child. The first thing with a very young child is that we're not so worried about what it looks like in the end as about the process of writing, which sounds really weird because you think, well, what we should be looking at is what comes out at the end, the outcome. But actually, when they're learning to write, we're more worried about how the process is developing, because it's really hard to undo bad habits. So we don't want them to get bad habits in writing. So the first and critical thing is, how do they hold the pen? Because a lot of small children are inclined to hold the pen in an instinctive way, just grasping it between in their fist, and that won't do. We need the correct pen hold. And so helping your child to hold the pen correctly is the first but absolutely crucial step on the road to having them write fluently and easily. The second helpful thing is that actually we're interested in how children form the letters. The teachers often use a phrase, oh, they're just using ball and stick. And by ball and stick, they mean that the child is drawing a circle and then drawing a line and calling that a small letter D. And actually that's useless, because when we write, we do not write our letters in that way. We actually have a fluent cursive style of writing. So how you form the letters is really important. So practicing how to form the letters in the air or on somebody's back, and doing it on each other's backs is great, because you can form a letter on the child's back and they can form the letter on your back and you can guess the letter. And that's quite exciting and also really good for them, using their finger to form the letter. Really good, making sure they are actually forming the letter correctly. On Hamilton, we provide a sheet showing how each letter is to be performed. The third thing is really to do with spelling. We don't worry too much about spelling as children are learning to write, and nor should you. There are certain things that we do expect them to spell correctly. One of them, importantly, is their name. But for most purposes, especially if they're writing a story or a letter or a list, something to help you, or a postcard, anything like that, we're not too fussed about the spelling. We're more fussed about them getting what they're saying down on the page. After all, it took many thousands of years of human history before people acquired the skill of writing. So it's quite a complex skill for children to get their heads around and to get into. So getting those words that are spoken down on the page is our main endeavour. Whether or not every single word is spelt correctly is something we can worry about much later, once they've become fluent writers. But sometimes children get put off by focuses on things that don't matter, like in this instance, spelling. Encourage the child to sound out the words that as they're writing them. So sounding them out is really important. If I'm writing dinosaur, what's the first sound I hear? It's a D. Now, it's a long word to write, so we're not going to worry too much about all getting all the letters in the right order. But D, dinosaur, and they'll probably hear the I sound, and they'll probably hear the N sound, dinosaur. And they will get some wrong letters in, probably putting an A where it shouldn't be, but that doesn't matter. Often children leave out the vowels. They don't hear the vowels, they hear the consonants. Again, don't worry about it. If dinosaur is spelt D-N-S-O-R, we can get the gist. We can see what they're writing. We call this emergent writing. And it's really useful because once children get the idea that they can write, they will start writing, and that's brilliant. And then we can start fussing around about inserting the right letters in the right order. Finally, it's quite useful if they can write some what we call the little words. The little words are often quite important. We, I, me, you, dad, mum. These are words that turn up all the time, and they're not that hard to write. So practicing writing those little words can give them a fluency overall because they just know those words. They're ones they can just write easily. And it's just, of course, that piggybacks on their reading. Hopefully they're reading those words easily, so they're starting to write those words easily. And that's all very, very helpful. A final tip has to do with the fact that the child shouldn't have to do all the writing in any one task. You can do some writing, they can do some writing. You can do a little bit more, they can do a little bit more. It's often helpful to break down the task. If they've got to write 5 or 6 sentences, maybe you write the first one, then they write a sentence, because it's hard work. And so doing it together breaks it down and makes it manageable. And that's really, really helpful for a child. Writing can become a bit of a chore for a child. It can be something they avoid. It can become something that they really don't want to do. We really don't want to get into that territory. We want writing to be something they feel they can do. So we need a can-do approach to it. Don't worry about the things that don't matter. Only worry about the things that do matter. How they hold the pen, the fact that they're forming the letters correctly, and the fact that they're getting the sounds that come out of their mouth onto the page in more or less the right order. Good luck.